Every Halloween, the small town of Brindlewick hosted its annual masquerade, a parade of painted faces, cheap costumes, and hollow laughter. This year, Jamie Porter wanted to stand out. He'd found the mask at a dusty antique shop on the edge of town, a place that smelled of wax and old wood. It was hanging on the back wall, half hidden under a veil of cobwebs. Porcelain white, with faintly human features. Too real, almost. Its lips were curved in the faintest of smiles, its eyes hollow but deep, like something was staring back through them. How much for that one? Jamie asked the shopkeeper, an elderly woman with milky eyes. She turned her head slowly. That one's not for sale. Jamie grinned. Everything's for sale. She didn't smile back. It was made for someone else. Best you leave it where it is. But Jamie had already lifted it from the hook. The mask felt warm against his palms. Disturbingly warm, as if it had been worn moments before. Perfect fit, he said, holding it up to his face. When he looked through the eye holes, the world seemed to shift slightly. Colors sharper, sounds duller. The shopkeeper's voice trembled. If you take it, it will take you. Jamie laughed. Now that's how you make a sale. He left a few crumpled notes on the counter and walked out, the mask tucked under his arm. At home, he tried it on again in front of the mirror. It fit perfectly, molding to his face as though made for him. He turned his head left, then right. Creepy but cool, he muttered. That old woman should have charged double. When he tried to remove it, though, the mask didn't move. He tugged harder. It didn't budge. The porcelain felt smooth beneath his fingers, but there was no edge, no seam. The mask had fused to his skin. All right, he said, forcing a laugh. Funny. Must have used too much adhesive or something. He grabbed a towel, soaked it in hot water, and pressed it against his face. Steam filled the bathroom. Still nothing. He pulled, hard enough to make his neck ache. The mask didn't even shift. He could still speak, breathe, blink, but every time he did, it was like the mask moved with him, mimicking every muscle perfectly. He tried to sleep that night, but every time he closed his eyes, he felt it breathing not with him, but slightly out of sync. By morning, his face ached. He looked in the mirror again. The mask had changed. The faint smile was gone. Now, its lips were neutral, too human, too alive. The color had deepened slightly, like skin flushed with blood. And the eyes no longer looked hollow. They blinked. Jamie stumbled back, heart racing. He splashed water on his face, or tried to. The droplets rolled off the mask like oil on glass. He grabbed a knife from the kitchen drawer. This is insane, he whispered. He pressed the blade gently against the edge of the mask. A scream tore through the room, not from his mouth, but from inside the mask. The sound was muffled, distorted, as though coming from underwater. Jamie dropped the knife, clutching his head. What the hell? Then, faintly, he heard it whisper, "Stop fighting." Over the next few days, Jamie tried everything. Solvents, scissors, even calling his friend Tom for help. Tom thought it was a prank. "Mate, it looks incredible," Tom said, laughing. "Is that glued on or what?" "Help me take it off." Tom tugged. "Jesus, it's really stuck." He pulled harder until Jamie screamed. Tom jumped back. "You okay?" Jamie touched his cheek. His fingers came away red. The mask had bled. Tom stared in horror. It's part of you." The whisper came again, louder this time. "He can't help you." Jamie grabbed Tom's shoulders. "You heard that, right?" Tom shook his head slowly. "Heard what?" The lights flickered. When they came back on, Tom was gone. The door was open, but there were no footsteps, no sound. Just a faint smell of earth, damp and cold. Days blurred together. Jamie stopped leaving the house. He boarded the windows, unplugged the mirrors. But even in the dark, he could see the masked reflection on every shiny surface. Faint, smiling, patient. He could feel it beneath his skin now, like roots spreading. His voice had changed, softer, echoing slightly, as though someone else was speaking through him. And when he looked at his hands, they didn't look like his anymore. The nails were pale, porcelain-like. The skin smooth and cold. One night, desperate, He went back to the antique shop. It was boarded up. Dust covered the windows. The sign was gone. He kicked the door until the lock snapped. Inside, everything was covered in sheets, the air thick with mildew. He found the counter where the old woman had stood. Behind it, an open ledger lay on the floor. He flipped through its pages. Each page listed a name and a date. Every one of them had been crossed out. At the very end of the book, written in ink that looked more like dry blood, was his name, Jamie Porter, claimed. The whisper came again, right behind him. Now you understand. He spun around. The old woman stood there, her eyes hollow sockets. You took it, she said softly. And it took you. He stumbled back. How do I get it off? You can't. I'll cut my face off if I have to. The woman smiled faintly. You won't need to. It's already done that for you. She lifted a small, handheld mirror from the counter and turned it toward him. Jamie looked and screamed. The mask was gone. In its place was his face, but pale, empty, featureless. No nose, no eyes, no mouth. Smooth, porcelain skin where everything human had been erased. He dropped the mirror, falling to his knees. What am I? The woman's voice was barely a whisper. A vessel. The mask wears you now. He didn't remember leaving the shop. He didn't remember walking home. But when he came to, he was back in his living room, standing in front of the mirror he'd tried to smash. The reflection smiled, even though he hadn't moved. You see, it whispered. You look perfect. He tried to scream, but no sound came. His reflection tilted its head. Don't worry, Jamie. I'll take care of everything. You can rest now. And with that, the reflection stepped out of the mirror. It looked identical to him. Same clothes, same stance, except its eyes gleamed faintly gold. Jamie tried to run, but his legs didn't move. His body no longer listened. The reflection, or whatever it was, touched his chest gently. Go back inside. And he did. He felt himself pulled backward, falling into the glass. The world twisted, warped, until all he could see was a faint outline of his old life through the mirror's surface. Weeks later, neighbors complained about the smell coming from Jamie's house. Police broke in and found him sitting on the sofa, perfectly still, the porcelain mask lying on his face. Except when they tried to remove it, it shattered, and beneath it was nothing but smooth, white flesh. No eyes, no mouth, just the faintest trace of a smile. The antique shop reopened the following month under a new owner, a polite young man with a friendly grin and an unusual collection of masks. One of them, porcelain white with faintly human features, hangs in the window. Sometimes, when the light hits it just right, you could swear it's breathing. And if you listen very closely, you might even hear it whisper, "Perfect fit."